pharmaceutical microbiology, parasitology, laboratory midterm exam. And akong gi-take note dito sa the Google Classroom na please read the instructions carefully. Take carefully. Because copy and answer the following questions. Write your answer in a one whole sheet of short bond paper. Strictly handwritten only. Write your answers legibly.
Ay, darang!
Submit your answers
Ay,
today
darang!
before 5 p.m. Bonus. Send your most attractive selfie along with your answer sheet. So, pag submit ninyo sa yung answer, agsan po mo selfie. So, that is bonus. So, nakita? Hala, sayang kayo, no? Muto kang pasabot nga read instructions carefully. Kaya example, kung magwan mong tambal, labi mga gagmay kay.
Ma'am, kay gamay kayo.
Oh, gituyo ko na. That's why you have to read
Di
it
maklaro,
carefully. So, congrats sa mga nakakita. Kay pampuno to sa inyong scores sa inyong lab exam.
Pila sad, ma'am?
Plus 5. Sumir na lang ng 5. Yes, plus 5 sa mga nakabantay sa atong bonus. Okay, so mo to siya ha. So, read instructions carefully. So, same with maghatag mong tambal. I know, gagmay ka na nakabutang ang mga expiry date and all. So, inyo nang tanawon. So, okay na ta maka-start? Okay, Francisco, Balisco, Larona, Digamo, and others. Turn on your camera.
Ma'am, pwede di lang sa ako turn on, ma'am. Kaya basang filter ko karon, ma'am.
Unsa? Di ti ka madungog.
Basa kay ko karon, ma'am.
Ay, sige. Excuse ate ka. Sige, pilap pa man kabuk ang naulanan din he. Si Kuan ra, si Digamo rang dili ka dungog nako. How about the
Ako, ma'am,
others?
kay slide.
Haman ang uban, nagamay ng ligi mo.
Putol-putol usahay, ma'am.
Putol-putol.
Ikaw, ma'am. Sa ako apod, ma'am.
Choppy ka, ma'am.
Taro-tarong mo ha, basig sige ra choppy ka ma, basig dungog kay ko ninyo. Ayo kong ilaron ha. Okay, sige. Dili na lang sa ta mag-discuss ron kay luoy po kayong uban no. So this afternoon unta class, we will discuss about mycology. Or apas na lang. Sige, hey.
Ay, joke.
Sige daw be, connection ta Abdul Rahman, madungog ko.
Yes, ma'am.
Mag-majority ta class. Abelia,
Madungog ra, ma'am.
Ali. Wala si Ali. Balisco.
Ali, ma'am.
Oh, Balisco. Bragat.
Ma'am, hello?
Oh, madungog ko.
Madungog ka, ma'am.
Madungog ko. Digamo.
Present, ma'am.
Madungog ko.
Ma'am.
Ay, ikaw mo itong naulanan, no?
Yes, ma'am.
De la Cruz.
Madungog ra, ma'am.
Federezo.
Ma'am.
Madungog.
Ma'am.
Francisco.
Madungog ra, ma'am.
Himelga. Nawala si Himelga. Juan. Lantod.
Madungog ra, ma'am.
Pangarungan?
Yes, ma'am. Madungog lang, ma'am.
Pasay.
Yes, ma'am. Naara, ma'am.
Robio.
Yes, ma'am. Dungog ra.
Salaan.
Madungog ra, ma'am.
Salinas.
Madungog ra, ma'am.
Yapak.
Dunggan ra, ma'am.
Zakaria.
Marinis po.
Ramil,
Dungogra, ma'am.
Larona.
Dungogra, ma'am.
Okay. So majority kadungogra. So let's continue with our discussion about mycology. So again, if you want to answer, class, please state your last name first before answering. And again, turn on your camera ha. Bantay lang mo lang na mag-off. I-absent jud na. Okay, so grab your pen and paper. Take note na mo, class, ha? Okay, turn on your camera again. Makita ta mo, nag-unay nag-off. Okay, so let's talk about, since we're already done with the basic of the bacteriology department, we already talked about PPE, proper personal proper personal equipment, and bacteriology. So now let's proceed with mycology. So mycology, class, what is mycology? Mycology is the study of fungi. So microbiology, di ba, class? Microbiology is the study of microorganism too small to be seen by our unaided eye. So na iba na siya mga sub, na siya mga under. The bacteriology, study of bacteria. Virology, study of virus. Parasitology, study of parasites. And mycology, the study of fungi. So now let's discuss about mycology, which is the study of fungi. Okay, so what are fungi, by the way? So fungi, yeasts such as brewer's yeast and molds, such as Penicillium chrysogenum, which produces the antibiotic penicillin, are classified as fungi. So these fungi class are also beneficial to us humans. Although this fungi can also cause diseases, but na po ni siya mga good benefits, or na po siya mga benefits in pharmaceutical industry, because fungi can also be used as antibiotics. And what are fungi? These are multicellular heterotrophic members of the plant kingdom. So they are classified under plant kingdom. So that lack roots and stems and are referred to as stallophytes. So although, class, they are under plant kingdom, di ba, plants have roots, plants have stems, but these fungi, although they are part of the plant kingdom, they do not have roots and stems. So since they do not have roots and stems, they are referred to as stallophytes. So remember, fungi is also referred to as stallophytes. So take a look at the diagram. This is your typical fungal cell. So this is what your fungi looks like. It has nucleus. So since it has nucleus, it is classified under prokaryotes or eukaryotes?
Eukaryotes.
Very good. They are classified under eukaryotes. They contain true nucleus. And also, class, general characteristics of a fungi, they are eukaryotic cells. So eukaryotic cells, therefore, they contain nucleus. Aerobes and facultative anaerobes. So aerobes, they can live, or they require oxygen for growth. Or facultative anaerobe, they require, or they can live in the presence of oxygen, and also they can live with or without the presence of oxygen rather. Grows best at an acidic pH, optimal temperature is room temperature around 25 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. And saprophytic. What do you mean by saprophytic? Saprophytic class. What is saprophytic? Saprophytic na ba nasa itong discussion before?
Non-pathogenic,
Requires?
ma'am.
Ansa? Pwede resolve?
Non-pathogenic fungi.
Ha?
Non-pathogenic fungi.
Non-pathogenic fungi, saprophytic?
Oh, ma'am.
No. Nana sa itong discussion. Kauban na sa mga capnophile, parasites, and saprophytes. Saprophytes requires dead substances. They require dead living substances. And they absorb nutrients from moist environment. Moist environment. So kabantay mo class, like example, I hope wala mo nabantayan na inana ha, or wala ninyo na nakita sa inyong mga bulingon. Like example, kana bitong sanina nga nabasa nga dugay na kagidat-gidat gidamok. Kabantay mo like after pila ka weeks na yung mga molds mang tubo din ha. Because they absorb nutrients from moist environment. The same with kaldero nga naibilin nga mga kanon nga walay hugas-hugas. Something moist ba ng environment sa atong rice. And naay mang tubo dira ang mga fungi or mga molds because ang fungi na nanay mga subgroups class. I will discuss it in the next slide. So they reproduce sexually and asexually and grow in the presence of acid and take note and large amounts of sugar. So these fungi, this yeast, this mold love sweets. Nananas sila mga sweets. Therefore, ang mga ang mga agar or culture medium to grow fungi are rich in dextrose. Katiman mo Seborrhoeids dextrose agar, di ba katong SDA? Seborrhoeids dextrose agar are the media used to cultivate or to allow to grow the fungi. SDA, Seborrhoeids dextrose agar, because they grow in the presence of large amounts of sugar. That's why class, take note when a patient is diabetic, usually kana bitong mga grabe na kayo ng mga diabetics, their urine, ilahang mga ihi, positive for yeast. Anong positive for yeast man? Of course, if a patient has high amount of sugar in the blood, ingani na siya may tabutod class, ngano tuod nga if diabetic ang patient, ngano mo positive pod ang sugar sa urine. Kaya naatay ginatawag na renal threshold class. Again, renal threshold. Like, naana siya gi-require sa atong body nga amount of sugar. So that is 120 mg per day ang gina-require sa atong blood nga renal threshold, amount of sugar. So kung mulapas na atong sugar sa atong renal threshold, like example, abot nag 500 atong sugar. So the rest nga sugar, dili naman na need sa atong lawas. So ginapagawas na sa atong body, ginaihi na siya. That's why mo positive for sugar ang atong urine. If a person or if the patient has high amount of sugar. So ngano pong magka-yeast ang mga patient ng mga diabetics or na mga instances na positive for yeast ilang urine? Of course, their urine is positive for sugar. And again, fungi grow in presence of large amounts of sugar. But not all the time, class ha, dili all the time nga when the patient is diabetic, naadyo na siya fungi, not all the time. But there are instances, especially those nga mga grabe na bitaw or mga lala na kay mga sugar sa ilang lawas, mga tagas na kay sugar, ilahang urine positive for yeast. Okay? Nang palong o camera ang uban, again, turn on. So, fungal morphology. So, do you have any questions? What is fungi? So this is your fungi or fungal cell. Naa siya cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, Golgi apparatus, and everything. Mitochondria, which is the, unsa meaning mitochondria gani? Charo lagi class?
Powerhouse. So,
And we have endoplasmic reticulum, in which Dari nag-attach ato mga ribosomes, and ribosomes is type of protein synthesis. Okay, so fungal morphology. Fungal morphology, you have cell membrane. Cell membrane is the innermost. So, take note. In the fungal morphology, cell membrane is the innermost. Kani? Innermost. It contains sterol and ergosterol. It contains sterol and ergosterol. Cell wall, to be followed by your cell wall. Cell membrane, innermost. Cell wall, ang next. It is composed mainly of carbohydrates and some proteins. It is potent antigen to human immune system. And the outermost, the same with your bacteria class, not all fungi has capsule. So, di ba? Sa bacteria, not all bacteria has capsule. Sa itong fungi pod, not all fungi has a capsule. So, fungi that has capsule, again, sa ganun purpose ng capsule, it inhibits phagocytosis. So, capsule, it is made up of polysaccharides and protection to avoid phagocytize. So, therefore, capsule is prevents phagocytosis. So, example of fungi that is positive for capsule is your Cryptococcus neoformans. So, example for fungi that has capsule is Cryptococcus neoformans. Example, spelling class, Cryptococcus neoformans. So, example of fungi that has capsule, that is Cryptococcus neoformans. Cryptococcus neoformans is a fungi that can be isolated from pigeon droppings. Pigeon droppings or kanang mga iti-iti bitaw sa mga pigeons. So, okay. So, these are the basic cell structure of a yeast. They contain cell membrane, which is the innermost, to be followed by your cell wall, which is mainly composed of carbohydrates and proteins. And the outermost is your capsule. Capsule inhibits phagocytosis. So, let's focus on the structure of fungal cell wall. So, structure of fungal cell wall, it is surrounded by a rigid cell wall which contains a number of structural polysaccharides and may account for up to 25% of the dry weight of the cell wall. So, atong cell wall is composed of glucan, mannan, chitin, and some proteins and lipids. So, glucan accounts 50 to 60% of our cell wall. Mannan, 15 to 23% of our cell wall, and chitin 1 to 9% of our cell wall, and some proteins and lipids which is present in smaller amounts. So this is your glucan. As you can see, siya ang pinakadaghan o siya ang mostly naga-comprise atong cell wall. Again, 50 to 60%. Mannan or mannose proteins, this one, 15 to 23, and chitin, 1 to 9%. So, what is glucan? Glucan is the main structural component of the fungal cell wall. Main structural because siya ang pinakadaghan og composition sa atong fungal cell wall. Pilag ito ka percentage?
50 to 60%, ma'am.
Very good. 50 to 60% of our cell wall. So it is the branch of polymer of glucose which exists in three forms in the cell. So you have beta-1,6 glucan, beta-1,3 glucan, and beta-1,3, beta-1,6 complex with chitin. So next is mannan. So mannan is the polymer of the sugar mannose and is found in the outer layers of the cell wall. So outer layers of the cell wall. So as you can see, if this is the cell wall, the outermost, mannan or your mannose proteins accounts 15 to 23%, and this is the outer layer of our cell wall. Okay? Last is chitin. Kaning murag something orange ang color. So chitin, it is a concentrated in bud scars that are areas of the cell from which a bud has detached. So here, this is your chitin. So now we're already done with the fungal cell wall. Okay, you have any questions? Copy, sige, copy. Okay, humana. Humana class? Okay. So, harmful effects on fungi. So, harmful effects of fungi. So, as akong mention kaganina na siya harmful effects na po siya benefits. So, harmful effects of fungi that they can cause plant diseases, human and animal diseases. It produces toxins and mycotoxins. Example of producing toxins is kanang mga mushroom bitaw, mga poisonous mushrooms. Mushrooms are classified under fungi. And destruction of food, lumber, paper, and cloth. So if we have harmful effects of fungi, we also have useful activities of fungi. So directly or indirectly, fungi are beneficial to human beings. Fungi is used in medicine industry. So as I have mentioned a while ago, that fungi are also being used to manufacture antibiotics as food or in food preparation. Example, in baking, ano tawag ni, baking cakes or breads. Di ba na yung ginabutang ana ng mga yeast? Katong murag siya powder nga. Kita na mo yeast kanang ginasagol sa bread.
Yes, ma'am, kanang i-mix na siya dan sa water para
Yes.
ma-create.
Okay, para pangpatubo man ata na sa bread or sa not really sure. Di ba pangpatubo ata na sa bread ang yeast? Para makatubo ang bread. Oh, yes. Yes, and in other industry and also in agriculture. So, although they have harmful effects, again, they have benefits or useful activities to us humans. So, mode of transmission, how can you acquire fungal infection? First is inhalation of spores. Next is inoculation by trauma into the skin. If masamad ka, like natusok ka, na-introduce ang fungi sa imuhang skin or inside your skin. So this is the mode of transmission and some direct contact. Okay, especially kanang mga buni, kanang mga yana kadong mo ana sa buni, kanang mga ringworm o direct contact ang mode of transmission ana. So what are the predisposing factor? So what do you mean by predisposing, class? So predisposing means these are the factors that makes a person susceptible to the infection. Predisposing, again, these are the factor that makes a person or a human susceptible. Murag predisposing, murag siya ang murag murag mga kuan bitaw mga requirements or mga wala gito class factor nga makaingon ka nga susceptible. Susceptible ang usa ka tawo to have a fungal infection. Okay, so na-take note ra. So what are the predisposing factors? So what are the factor that makes the person susceptible? First is antibiotics. So imbis na makaayo nga nung mga predisposing mga factor mga antibiotics. How? Unsa man nasa antibiotic? If there is a prolonged, take note, prolonged intake of antibiotics. Okay? Predisposing factor, prolonged intake of antibiotics. So how? Ngano man? Ngano na predisposing factor naman noon? Nganong factor man na siya to make the person susceptible? Diba? Gets na ninyo si susceptible na susceptible? Because, again, if prolonged intake of antibiotics or if improper intake of antibiotics, it can kill your... Ano siya may makakill?
Normal flora.
Okay, salaan.
Normal flora, ma'am?
Very good. It will kill your normal flora. And normal flora, class, is the number one enemy of our pathogenic na mga antigen. So, apil na din ha ang yeast. So, kung walay normal flora, walay nagakompete sa mga other butang na makakos og disease na to. So, yahay kay na siya, makatubo na siya sa tuang lawas because there is an prolonged intake of antibiotic or improper intake of antibiotic. Also, high estrogen during pregnancy or hormonal imbalance. Okay, or hormonal imbalance can also cause fungal infection. Immunodeficiency such as HIV. Okay? Take note, immunodeficiencies such as HIV. So class, if a person is immunodeficient, so immunodeficient, it means it cannot fight infection. Iyahang immune system is weak, dili enough makakumbati sa mga infection. So if a person is immunodeficient, of course, he or she is very susceptible to any kinds of infection, mapa-bacterial infection, mapa-viral infection, fungal infection. A person with immunodeficient is very susceptible. Okay? Example, HIV. Sa HIV class, ang makapatay sa patient anak is not the HIV itself. Dili HIV virus ang makapatay if a person has HIV. Kung saan makapatay ang mga gipang HIV? The complications. Kaya nga no, kanang mga HIV immunodeficient men sila, di ba? The one being targeted by your HIV virus is your CD4. And CD4 is part of your immune system, di ba, class? So if weaken na yung immune system, simple lang na ubo, simple lang na sipon, grabe na sa ilaha. Grabe na infection, maka-lead na into pneumonia and other deadly disease. So, kanang mga gipang HIV, ilahang ilahang skin, murag example if lala na bitaw kayo, kanang mga ubos na kayong mga CD4 value, ilahang mga skin daghan na mga tubo-tubo or mga turok-turok sa ilahang mga skin. Nanay daghan nga mga rashes, basta kailain ka na lang taon nilang mga skin class. Pero kanang mga bag-o pa, of course, dili pa kaning muna mabantayan kay iyahang immune system kinaga-fight pa man. Pero as time goes by, ginaatake ang CD4 so ma-weaken na ang immune system. So therefore, immune siya in any kinds of infection. Okay? And also diabetes or mga diabetic patient. Again, nganong immune man nganong susceptible man ang mga diabetes patient sa fungal infection. Di ba class, akong gi-mention kaganina, they grow in large amount of sugar. So ganahan na silang mga sugary na mga butang, ganahan na silang mga tag-as o mga sugar contents. So since diabetic ang patient, imagine na taas ang sugar sa iyang body. So muna siya nahimo og culture medium sa fungal or sa fungus rather, sa mga fungi. So ganahan magtubo ang mga patient ana. Usually if example diabetic ang patient, maka-isolate na nagiputan talaga giubo na siya. Ang causative agent sa iyang ubo is Candida albicans. These are fungi. Ay nga nung makatubo ang fungi sa mga diabetics, again, large amount of sugar or high amount of sugar. And also, class, wala din ha, chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is one of the predisposing factor for fungal infection. So again, review, antibiotics, pregnancy or hormonal imbalance, immunodeficiency such as HIV, diabetics or diabetic patients, and chemotherapy. Okay? So, kato ako mga ipang-mention ganina, those are the factors that makes the person susceptible to fungal infections. Okay? Na-gets?
Yes, ma'am.
Na-gets?
Yes, ma'am.
Nakapas ra? Nakasulat ra?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have two basic forms of fungi. So the first is yeast. So when you look at the gram stain under microscope class, ing ani nawong atong yeast. Dili siya murag duol siya sa cocci, gram positive cocci, di ba duol-duol? But they are larger. Murag dagko siya compare ni yeast, compare ni gram positive cocci. Because your gram positive cocci is very small, like gagmay kay na Lapino. Compare with this, medyo dagko ni sa. These are yeast. So yeast is the most yeast is the simplest form of fungi. Take note, what is the simplest form of fungi? That is yeast. Again, yeast is the simplest form of fungi. So these are unicellular, non-filamentous. May produce pseudohyphae. So what is pseudohyphae? In the next slide, we will see what is pseudohyphae. Essential to many industrial processes involving fermentation. So yeast class, daghan siyang mga benefits na ginahatag, especially fermentations sa wines, sa breads, kana. And reproduce by budding. Okay? So it do not have hyphae, only pseudohyphae. What is pseudohyphae? Pseudohyphae are buds that fail to detach and become elongated or tube-like extensions. So again, yeast is the simplest form of fungi. So it reproduce by budding and it only have pseudohyphae. Timani ha, sa yeast, pseudohyphae ra ang naa niya. Wala siya hyphae. So what is pseudohyphae? Pseudohyphae are buds that fail to detach and become elongated or tube-like extensions. So this is your yeast cells. So inganig na ang atong yeast cells class. And yeast cells can also have pseudohyphae. So ingani ang pseudohyphae class. So these are tube-like extension that fail to detach. Okay? So na fail to detach, so sa may nahitabo na elongated lang. Kaya di ba? Unsa gani, how do yeast reproduce? They reproduce by
Budding.
very good. They reproduce by budding. So if na-fail to detach siya, wala na detach, unsa may tabo mo elongate ra na imuhang yeast class. Mo elongate ra na siya, mura siyang tube-like, and this is what you call as pseudohyphae. Ngano day, unsa day ang true hyphae? Unsay naong sa true hyphae? Lollipop-like. So kani yan na. Compared with this, so mura siyang na tube. So although mura siyang lollipop, pero inganig now ang true hyphae. Mura siyang sperm pod. Ianig now inyong inanig now ang sperm class. Nakita na ba mong sperm? Wala? Tamo kita?
Wala pa, ma'am.
Wala pa kita. So kailan mo waya-waya? Waya-waya ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Kailan mo, how about the others? Kailan mo waya-waya?
Itlog sa baki. I mean, anak sa
Baki?
baki. Ay,
Dili ko
Mukatan sa water, basta mapundo.
ay, katong
Yes.
ulot, ma'am.
Kanang kanang magpundo bitaw sa water nga kanang di man na sa baki siguro sa kuan man na sa lamok. Di ba sa lamok nang waya-waya?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Kay di ba ang sa baki kay color pink ang mga Di ba, pink ka, nasa kita sa kanal?
So, tayo black atong sa baki, ma'am,
Ito,
bang more
sa baki.
Basta katong waya-waya, kanang makita mo sa water, kanang stagnant na water, inganag daw ang inganag daw ang sperm class. When you look at the microscope, inganag daw ang sperm. Inganag mo siya glihukan, kanang murag waya-waya, bitaw kanang murag nag-move forward, kanang murag kiti-kiti, inganag daw ang sperm. And uban, kanang mga alaot kay mga sperm, hinay kay manglangoy, may uban patay jud, so inana. So, okay, so balik ta. So, nga to ang pseudo hyphae, okay? Then class reminder again, if you want to have points, if mo answer mo, state your last name first, then ahead mo answer, ha? Okay, balik. Okay, kamusta to si Diga mo? Napa siya?
Ma'am, okay na ako, ma'am. Kaya nang hinay ng ulan.
Okay, nakailis na kagang? Ilis sa kaw.
Manam, ma'am. Nag-ilis na, ma'am.
Okay. So, this is the microscopic appearance of our yeast. So, focus na sa yeast class ha. So, ilimot sa itong isa. So, yeast pa, pinaka-basic form or pinaka-simplest form sa fungi. So, microscopic appearance. So, ako na na-mention kaganina, similar to large bacterial colony. So, mura siya bacteria pero dagko na version sa bacteria. Usually oval to spherical shape, measures 3 to 5 micrometer in diameter. Colony appearance. Okay, class. How to differentiate with microscopic appearance of colonial appearance or colony appearance? Kung magaingon gani og microscopic appearance, mo to siyang makita under microscope. Kana magipang gram stain, that is microscopic appearance. So mangutana gani, what is the microscopic appearance of Staphylococcus aureus? So, example na. So Staphylococcus aureus, microscopic appearance is gram positive in cluster. So, nga na, microscopic. Unsay makita nimo sa gram stain. Colonial appearance or colony appearance, colony. Unsay makita nimo sa culture medium, sa agar. That is colonial appearance. So, colonial appearance of yeast, these are smooth, opaque, creamy bacterial-like colony. So, mura siya og bacteria Japon. Pero ang kalainan lang, naa siya yung mga spike. Excuse me. Sorry, na siya yung mga spike. Ang uban pong mga yeast, walay murag spike. Pino lang kayo siya nga mga colonies. And pag tanaw din mo sa gram stain, mura siya ginani daignaw. It's a yeast. Okay? So, now we're done with the yeast. Let's proceed with the molds. So, molds, compared with your yeast, diba ang yeast is unicellular? So, tara. Yeast are unicellular, non-filamentous. Imuhang molds is multicellular and filamentous fungi. So, this consists of a cylindrical tubules or what you call as hyphae. Diba? Sa yeast, unsa ito sa yeast? Pseudo hyphae. Sa molds na siya hyphae. Measures 2 to 10 micrometer in diameter and it is made up of hyphae. And there are two parts of the molds rather. The first is aerial or for reproduction or aerial or reproductive extends above the surface. So example, this is your molds. Diba kita na mo inani? I know kita na mo mga inani, mga molds. Kita na mo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So naatay extends above the surface kaning diri sa gawas. That is what we call as aerial hyphae. Aerial is for reproduction or for reproduce, padaghan. And the one that extends downward into the medium, kanang naa sa ubos, kanang dili nato makita. This is for vegetation or for vegetative. This is the one that absorbs nutrients. Okay? So again, these are the two parts or two structure of the molds. Aerial hyphae for reproduction and vegetative hyphae to absorb nutrients. Above the surface, aerial, downward sa medium is vegetative. Nganong downward man, of course, tabi sa down. Mura siya roots. Your vegetative is the same functions with your roots. It is the one responsible to absorb nutrients. Okay? So structure of molds, you have hyphae and mycelium. So hyphae is the basic structural units of molds. Okay? Again, these are the basic structural units of molds. It is a long, slender, branching, intertwining, cylindrical. So inanig na wong, these are hyphae. And there are two kinds of hyphae, the septate and aseptate. Septate is the one with transverse walls or cross walls. Aseptate, absent of cross walls. Remember, class, in the medical field or a medical term rather, na yung mga murag wala na siya sa pod. Atricious, di ba? Walay flagella. Aseptate, walay septate, absence of septate. Aseptate, it is also known as coenocytic. Okay? Aseptate is also known as coenocytic. So what do you mean by septate? They have cross walls. What is septate in any class? So na yung mga cross walls kaniyo na yung mga na yung mga separate cross walls. They have cross walls. So this is aseptate hyphae. Coenocytic or aseptate hyphae, no cross walls. Okay? Walay mga murag baglis-baglis dira. Walay naka line din ha. Okay? And again, hyphae is the basic structural units of molds. Okay? Next, mycelium. Mycelium is hyphae. So group of hyphae na class. Hyphae forms a mass or group of countless intertwining strands or bundles. For short, this is a mat of hyphae. Mycelium, mat of hyphae. Mat of hyphae. So this is hyphae. This is mycelium. So hyphae, mycelium. So mycelium is a mat of hyphae or group of hyphae or mass of hyphae. So kumbaga, singular, plural. Kung daghan na hyphae, intertwining hyphae, countless hyphae, mat of hyphae, it is termed as mycelium. Okay? So hyphae are the tubular cells with cellular wall. Mycelium are formed by groups of hyphae packed together. Gets? Gets?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So mycelium is our large visible mass of hyphae. So hypha or hyphae, so muna ang hyphae. Kung group na gani, kung daghan na gani, termed as mycelium na ang term ana niya class. So kanis, as you can see, unsa man siya na types of hyphae. Unsa ni siya na klase nga hyphae?
Septate.
Very good. Septate. Kinsa to?
Bragat, ma'am.
Bragat. Very good. Septate. Ay mo kalimot, magula ko nag-discuss o na duha ka bo klase na hyphae. Septate and aseptate. Okay. So, okay. So, atong i-summarize or summary. So, there are two basic forms. Tanawa kung nasulat ba ninyo? There are two basic forms of fungi. Isa ganito ang simplest form of fungi.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Ha?
Yes.
Yeast. So, yeast is the pinaka-basic na structure sa fungi. How about katong isa? Molds. Molds is multicellular or unicellular?
Multicellular.
Multicellular. Yeast is
Unicellular.
So ato ang molds na ay duha ka buok klase na molds. Ay duha ka buok structure sa molds rather. You have
Hyphae and mycelium.
And mycelium.
We have
Hyphae and
hyphae
Mycelium.
and mycelium. Okay. Nagets ra? Balik ta ha. Next na ta. Proceed na ta sa next. So now let's proceed with dimorphism versus monomorphic. So sayo na kayo siya, dali na siya masabtan. Dimorphism, two shapes, duha ka buk forms. That is dimorphism. Monomorphic, isa lang iyang form. Okay? So dimorphism, capability of fungi to grow in more than one form under different environmental conditions. Di ba natay duha ka buk base duha ka buk form sa fungi? Yeast o mold. Molds rather. So kani mga dimorphism or dimorphic nga mga fungi, so mga form na sila duha ka klase. Pwede na sila mahimo og yeast, pwede na sila mahimo og molds depending on what kind of environment, depending on the temperature. Monomorphic do not produce yeast, grows only one form. So wala siya yeast, so unsa ra may form niya? Molds lang. Okay? Ang dimorphism, yeast form at 37 degrees Celsius. Molds or hyphae or mycelial at room temperature. So anong molds or hyphae or mycelial? Di ba molds has two basic structure, or has two structure, hyphae and mycelial. So the same man sila class ha. Di ba hyphae is the basic unit or basic structure of your molds. Okay? So dimorphism, duha ka buk forms mahimo depende sa iyahang temperature, depende sa iyahang environment. Okay? So if room temperature, molds. If at 37 degrees Celsius or body temp, okay, yeast form, body temperature, it is yeast form. Monomorphic, regardless of any kinds of temperature, isa ra jud iyahang form nga mahimo. Okay? Gets? Gets?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let's proceed with mycosis. So you have structural and you have superficial mycosis, cutaneous mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, systemic mycosis, mo to siya, and opportunistic mycosis. So superficial mycosis, these are the type of mycosis that produce no cellular response by the host. So walay cellular response, walay labot tong mga WBC na to, walay labot tong mga phagocytes na to. Okay? It involves, nga nung wala may labot ang cellular response, kaya na siya sa pinaka-outer epithelial layers of the skin and top layers of hair and nails. So, na siya sa pinaka-outermost part sa ato ang skin. Outermost part sa atong skin or pinaka-top layers, pinakagawas na part sa hair or sa nails. Of course, our phagocytes, our WBC, dili siya ma-expose ana. Dili na niya matagbuan. So, dili niya matagbuan, dili niya maila-ila. So, therefore, no cellular response. Kinara ko siya sa gawas. Wala siya na-introduce sa sulod sa atong body. Okay? That is under superficial mycosis. Superficial, sa gawas lang. Okay? So, kinsa man tong mga superficial mycosis. Okay? Okay, class, be ready. The same with bacteria. Lisod po gani siya ipang mention. So, first is Malassezia furfur. Okay, Malassezia furfur, what is the disease? What is the disease of Malassezia furfur? It can cause, muna ang sakit class ha, kanina din dapit na column. So, it can cause pityriasis versicolor or tinea versicolor. Or for short, it can cause an-an. Anong kadungog na mo unsay an-an? An-an is the hypo or hyperpigmented patches of the skin. hypo or hyperpigmented patches of the skin, or it has blotchy appearance. So, sige na mo kadung galagian-an siya, anagyan-an. So, it is caused by fungi. So, unsa man ang specific na fungi? Isa man ang etiologic agent, that is Malassezia furfur. So, what is the medical term for an-an? Pityriasis versicolor or Taenia versicolor. Okay? So, unsa pa man atong mga superficial mycosis? You have Exophiala, Hortea, or Cladosporium wernickeyi. Okay? So, what is the causative agent of your Hortea wernickeyi? Kani dyan ang usually ginagamit class ha. These are the genus. Exophiala wernickeyi, Hortea wernickeyi, and Cladosporium wernickeyi. So, pinaka-common ani na genus na ginagamit is your Hortea wernickeyi. So, unsam an ang disease it cause? It can cause Taenia nigra or Taenia nigra palmaris. So, what is Taenia nigra? This is brown to black, non-scaly, painless patches on palms of hands and the dorsa of the feet. So, na yung mga black nga patches. And that is your causative agent, Hortea wernickeyi. O si tawag sa sakit, Taenia nigra. Okay? Next, etiologic agent, Piedra hortae. Piedra hortae can cause black piedra. And it is hard, dark nodules outside of the hair shaft or scalp hair. So naay morag naga nodules sa ato ang scalp or sa hair shaft. And that ang say sakit term ana, that is black piedra. Kinsa ang nakakos Piedra hortae. Okay? Next is Trichosporon asashi or Trichosporon begili. Mas common na gina-term ani class is your Trichosporon begili. Dili kani common ning asahi. So Trichosporon begili can cause white piedra. So compare with your black piedra, it has soft, light nodules. Ato ang black piedra, it has hard, dark nodules. Okay? So, timan ini ang mga term ha. Piedra hortae can cause black piedra. Trichosporon begili can cause white piedra. Hortea wernickeyi can cause Taenia nigra. And Malassezia furfur can cause pityriasis versicolor. And this this etiological agent is under superficial mycosis. Superficial or the outermost part of our skin or top of our nails and hair. And again, this cannot cause cellular immune response. Okay, it cannot cause cellular immune response again because superficial ra, outermost part of the skin ra. Gets?
Yes, ma'am. Ay, ma'am. Unsa din ang kaspa, ma'am? Di ba fungi man na siya, ma'am? Combination na siya ng opat, ma'am.
Ha?
Ang kaspa, ma'am, ba kay combination na siya ng opat ka kuan etiologic agent?
Yes. Fungi is usually this is your Trichosporon begili. Light nodules na siya sa ito ang hair shaft. And class, if napo na siya yung mga instances when your caspa is nagalala na kayo, so na ay makombine na bitaw, pwede na siya na anay Piedra hortae or Taenia hortae nga makakos og caspa. And yes, sakto, caspa is caused by fungi. That's why class, nganong naga-fungi man na ang ato ang hair. Fungi, nganong naaman ay caspa ato ang hair. Because class, fungi are keratinophilic. What do you mean by keratinophilic? Keratinophilic is they love areas rich in keratin. And our hair is rich in keratin. So that's why magka-kaspa na siya. Especially class, ganamit ang mga shampoo nga na mga rich in keratin and usahay dili ta mo uyon. And then magkaspa na dayon ta ana. So mo na siya class. Because of that keratin. Because these fungi rather love keratin areas or rich in keratin na mga parts ato ang lawas. Okay? So you have cutaneous mycosis. So then class, these are under napoy kuan na ni sa ni tawag ani na mga kaspa na cutaneous mycosis. So katong nasa hair shaft, supercutaneous na to. Katong na sa mga shaft, cutaneous mycosis. So this involve deeper layers of the skin and tissue. Dermatophytes, these are keratinophilic. So keratinophilic, able to metabolize keratin, or they love areas that are rich in keratin. Unsa man tong mga areas nga rich in keratin? Hair, nails, and skin. So again, areas of our body that are rich in keratin, nails, hair, and skin. Okay, there are three genera or three genus of our dermatophytes. You have trichophyton, epidermophyton, and microsporum. So trichophyton, man na siya usually naga-cause og sakit. The nails, skin, and hair. Epidermophyton, nails and skin lang. Microsporum, skin or hair. And cutaneous mycosis already involve involved na ang cellular immune response. Okay? Unlike your superficial, it does not involve cellular immune response. Cutaneous mycosis involve cellular immune response. And these are keratinophilic. And na siya tulo ka buok klase nga genus, trichophyton, epidermophyton, and microsporum. And natin ginatawag na Taenia class. Taenia is the term used for dermatophytes infection. So kaning dermatophytes, if ang infection na ni unsay tawag, Taenia. Okay? Taenia ang term sa mga dermatophyte infection. And these infections may be characterized by another Latin noun to designate the area of body involved. Okay? Example, Taenia capitis. So, di ba Taenia? Taenia means dermatophyte infection. What is dermatophytes? These are keratinophilic na mga fungi. Okay? So, Taenia is a dermatophyte infection. So, kung depende na dayon class kung aha siya naga-cause og sakit sa hair, sa skin, sa nails. So, na yung mga term anak. So, infection. Example, Taenia capitis. Taenia capitis. So, Taenia capitis is dermatophyte infection, capitis sa head. So, Taenia capitis, head, scalp, or hair. Taenia barbae, bird or mustache, are also known as barber's itch. Taenia corporis, infection or ringworm or dermatophyte infection in our body. Taenia cruris, inguinal area, usually termed as jockey itch or gym itch. Taenia unguium sa mga nails. Taenia pedis sa feet. Taenia axillaris sa mga axillaries. Taenia manos sa hands. Okay? And every infection class, depende kung aha siya na infection, lain-lain og term ana. Lain-lain og mga tawag ana. Okay? Depending on the area, depending on the location. Gets? Gets? Okay. So muna gi-memorize na to class, muna gila-ila na to kung aha ni mga Taenia capitis, Taenia barbae, because in every dermatophyte, na siya yung mga na siya yung mga lesions kung kinsa lang. First is microsporum, kani, under here, under than he class. Diba na ay tulo ka book genus? Na ay tulo ka book genus imong cutaneous. Trichophyton, epidermophyton, and microsporum. So you have microsporum, trichophyton, and epidermophyton. Okay? So I know class, fungi or mycology is difficult to study because even ako, medtech, or even i-ask niyo yung mga kailan ng mga medtech na mga students po, mycology is a difficult subject. Okay? Aside from, dili ka ni siya usually naga-encounter na to ni siya class. Dili ka usually naga-encounter ka ni mga microsporum odumi, microsporum canis. Medyo boring ni siya na topic compared with your bacteriology. Okay? So, yes, nga nilisod yun na siya ipamemorize ang mga term sa ato ang fungi. So please bear with me and please study. So first, microsporum under cutaneous mycosis, microsporum odoni. So microsporum odoni, aha gani na siya under, ang sa gani gina-infect sa imuang microsporum ani? Ano odoni? Taenia capitis, Taenia barbae, and Taenia corporis. So Taenia capitis sa head, Taenia barbae sa mga bungot-bungot, sa mga mustache or sa mga sandre lagi, mga barber's itch. Taenia corporis sa body, infection of our body. Okay? Description, it can cause Taenia capitis among lower age. So microscopic identification, okay, pwede na nyo dili studyhan kayo ang microscopic identification since dili man pod kamo ang naga-identify jud ani class. So kuan na ni siya kaning good to know or must to know. Next is microsporum canis, microsporum canis, Taenia capitis, Taenia barbae, and Taenia corporis from the name itself canis, canine. These are the common cause of ringworm in dogs. Taenia class, rather, nalimot ko mention, di ba Taenia is a dermatophyte infection? Dermatophyte infection or also known as ringworm. Kailan mo ringworm, no? Kailan mo ringworm? Kaduog na mo ringworm?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this is Taenia. Taenia ang ginatawag ana. So mga ringworm sa dogs, kisa ang usually causative agent, microsporum canis. Lastly, microsporum gepsum. This rarely cause human infection. If maka-cause man gani, aha man siya sa capitis and sa corporis, sa head and sa body. Okay, sakto. Head and body imong corporis. Please study about this infection kani i-store yun na kung mahimo. Studyhin yun ha, mga Taenia corporis, Taenia cruris. So infection, dayon kung aha siya na location. Okay? Trichophyton, next na po manatas ng microsporum. Next is trichophyton. So Trichophyton mentagrophytes, Trichophyton rubrum, Trichophyton concentricum, Trichophyton tonsurans. And these are the lesions sa mga Trichophyton mentagrophytes. Aha siya naga-infect. Unsa na mga location. Pedis, corporis, unguium. Pedis is feet, corporis, body, unguium is mga inguinal area. Okay, Taenia rubrum, Taenia pedia, tiil, Taenia corporis, Taenia unguium, Taenia cruris, Taenia concentricum, Taenia corporis, Taenia tonsuran, Taenia capitis, Taenia corporis, Taenia pedis, Taenia unguium. Okay, so kaning mga naden ni class, these are the infection, okay? Aha siya naga-infect. Okay, aha siya naga-infect. Aha na mga area naga-infect kani nga mga fungi, kani na mga etiologic agent. Okay? Next, continuation sa Trichophyton. Trichophyton verrucosum. Trichophyton violacum. Trichophyton scholeni. Kani si Trichophyton scholeni class, nice kani siya tanawon under microscope because it looks like a chandelier. And si Trichophyton scholeni, it looks like a chandelier. Favic chandelier ang term. Okay, so study. Last is epidermophyton. Epidermophyton can cause epidermophyton flocosum. Unsa ang mga sakit? Bilateral trichoris, Taenia pedis, Taenia unguium, and Taenia capitis. Growth rate is 1 week. So again, kani siya tanan ako magipang-mention, Trichophyton, microsporum, and epidermophyton. These are keratinophilic. They love mga keratin nga mga area. And again, this already involve cellular immune response. Okay? So now let's proceed with deep mycosis. So under deep mycosis, na duha ka buok. Subcutaneous mycosis and systemic mycosis. So under subcutaneous mycosis. So subcutaneous mycosis, infections that involve the skin and subcutaneous tissue. So sa sulod sa skin class. Affected areas, hands, arms, legs, and feet. Of course, portal of entry, skin puncture, abrasions, thorns of the skin through traumatic inoculation. So naa na yung mga puncture. Okay, of course, subcutaneous na biya class. Sulod na sa mga skin. Dili superficial, di ba? Subsuperficial gawas lang. Subcutaneous, so naa na sa sulod. So involved na ang mga inoculation, puncture, okay? Dara di mo makuha kanina mga sakit. First is Rose Gardner's disease. Kani class ha, mga sakit ni na ha, makanada ni sporotrichosis or also known as Rose Gardner's disease. Etiologic agent or causative agent, this is your Sporothrix schenki. Okay? Unsa ang sakit sa imong Sporothrix schenki? Sporotrichosis or Rose Gardner's disease. Okay? So what is the characteristics? It has yeast phase and mycelial phase. So na siya duha ka form. Therefore, it is dimorphic. Dimorphic fungi. Anong dimorphic? Of course, na siya duha ka book form. Okay? Yeast phase at body temperature. Ihang now is spherical or oval cigar-shaped bodies. During room temperature, ingani na ihang nawong. Conidia in floral-like or bouquet-like arrangement. Daisy-like or rosette clusters. And take note, it is the only fungus disease that can almost always be diagnosed by picture alone. So paglantaw pa lang nimo ani imuhang diagram, makaingon na ka ang causative agent ana kay Sporothrix schenki. Okay? So kung saan ang sakit ni Sporothrix schenki? Rose Gardner's disease or sporotrichosis. Ganong Rose Gardner's disease man ni siya class. Nagakuha ni siya sa puncture sa mga thorns sa mga rose. Okay? Rose Gardner's disease. Sa mga rose na siya sa mga thorns sa rose. Okay? Next is, so this is your sporotrichosis. Inganig nawong. Small puncture lang ang naka-cause ani class. Gamay lang na siya nasa mud. Then nalala, na inaani na dayon na siya. Okay, next. Chromomycosis or chromoblastomycosis. So again, mo ni siya ang sakit, mo ni ang causative agent. So naay tulo ka buok causative agent sa imong chromoblastomycosis. You have Cladosporium caroini, Pyelophora verrucosa, and Acroteca type. So naay duha ka buok klase sa Acroteca type, Fonsesia pedrosoi and Fonsesia compactum. So, what is chromoblastomycosis? It is characterized by the development of papule, which spreads to form warty or tumor-like lesions characterized as cauliflower-like. So, etiologic agents, Cladosporium type, Pyelophora type, and Acroteca type. So, under Cladosporium type is Cladosporium caryoni. So, Cladosporium caryoni is a long chains of elliptical conidia born from slender conidiophore of various lengths. Your Pyelophora type or your Pyelophora verrucosa, flask-like or vase-shaped conidiophore. Acroteca type na duha ka buok klase, Fonsesia pedrosoi and Fonsesia compactum. Fonsesia pedrosoi, swollen club-shaped ends of conidiophore. Fonsesia compactum, short conidiophore, tightly packed conidial heads. Lastly, mycetoma or madoramycosis. Okay? So again, class, na itulo ka buok klase sa subcutaneous, Rose Gardner's disease, sporotrichosis, chromomycosis or chromoblastomycosis, and last is mycetoma or maduramycosis, or it can cause madura foot. Mycetoma or maduramycosis is a chronic granulomatous infection which produces tumor-like lesions and sinus trap formation usually at the foot. That's why it is termed as madura foot. So na duha ka buok etiologic agent or causative agent. Maka-cause og madura foot. You have actinomycotic mycetoma and leukomycotic mycetoma. So actinomycotic mycetoma are fungus-like bacteria. It has very fine granules compared with euchomycotic, large, coarse granules. Imong actinomycotic, very fine granules. So, unsay naong sa itong madura foot? These are madura foot. Mura nagchicharon, iyahang foot. Madura foot or mycetoma or madura mycosis. Okay? Next is lobomycosis. Giluod mo class no. Mga ano ni hapon, ana. Lobomycosis. Initial lesions are small, hard, subcutaneous nodules appearing on the extremities such as your face or your ear. Kinsa man ang maka-cause og lobomycosis? Loboa luboy. Okay? Loboa luboy can cause lobomycosis. Next, rhinosporidosis. Kinsa ang naka-cause? Rhinosporidium severi. So what is rhinosporidiosis? It is a tumor-like polyp, usually on the nose. So fungi di po naka-cause ani klasa, and that is Rhinosporidium severi, acquired from stagnant water. Therefore, dili mo pataka og salom-salom class ha, wala ta kabalungan naaday fungi. Naaday fungi nga kasi tawag ani? Naay fungi nga maka-cause og rhinosporidiosis, okay? And this is caused by Rhizosporum severi, okay? So, okay class. So, dahil natataman sa itong deep mycosis since there is a week of prayer. Naa ba? Sakto no na karon 5 p.m. Okay, so we are already done with the subcutaneous. So next meeting, we will discuss further with the deep mycosis. So you have any questions?
Wala siya, ma'am.
Ma'am, so far pa, ma'am.
Ano siya pagkuan, ma'am?
Unsa?
Murag may delisod.
Dili ta madungog. Unsa ang Ay, nangutana?
Nakipangatana.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Nakipangatana.
Turn on your
Unsaon?
camera, balis ko.
Ay, joke. Ma'am, ansaon day pagkuan, ma'am, pagkuha or like pag-test sa fungi, ma'am, if like kanang subcutaneous siya, ma'am. Buak
Okay.
ay buslutan siya.
Okay, very nice question. Okay, class. Depending on the location of the fungi, usually fungi is being collect or ginaunsaon pagkuha if sa skin ginascalp na siya class, ginanudnud na siya. Say for example, ko akong slide ha. Example, this is slide, ruler ni siya class, din is slide. Slide ginaana o ginakiskis ng panit. Then ginasalod na siya sa slide. Makita na siya sa microscope. Bahala pag ana-ana nimo wala kay makita din ha. Pag tanaw na nimo sa microscope na kay makita jud ana class. And kana bitong mga naay mga subcutaneous na mga cutaneous na mga kuan daot ay mga sakit-sakit na infection. Naa sila mura bitong scalp, kana bitong murag mga taktak bitaw na nga panit, mga dry dead skin kana. And if tissue, scalp Japanese mo class na Japan kay makollect ana niya. And also we have also hair baiting technique. Murag maggakuan ka og hair pero dalag sara na ginabuhat ang hair baiting technique. Kuha ka og isolate, nag-isolate ka, mag-scalp ka sa imong any part kung aka magkuha. Ginabutang nimo sa hair, dili hair nimo halo, kay mo ibutang sa hair, di paturoko nimo din ha. Hair na siya nagiputol, then dara ginapatubo din ha. Pagkaugma na imong nubo din ha. So ingana siya pag-collect. So usually sa skin na siya ginapa scalp ginaana. Ginakuskus na siya sa slide, na ginatubo na siya. Okay? Next na pay question. Okay, so please attend the week of prayer. Di ba pa-attend doon man mo, no? May attendance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so attend na mo sa week of prayer. And we will meet next meeting. So, check sa kul attendance ha. Dali ra ni. Abdul Rahman,
Present po.
Abelia,
Present, ma'am.
Ali,
Ma'am, mahina po yung internet nila.
Balisco,
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Bragat,
Present, ma'am.
Tigamo,
Present, ma'am.
De La Cruz, Federezo,
Ma'am.
Francisco.
Ma'am, present.
Emelga,
Present, ma'am.
Juan, Lantud,
Present, ma'am.
Pangarungan,
Present, ma'am.
Pasay,
Present, ma'am.
Robio,
Present, ma'am.
Salaan,
Sila ang present, ma'am.
Salinas,
Present, ma'am.
Yapak,
Present, ma'am.
Zakaria,
Present.
Ramil,
Present, ma'am.
Larona.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you, class. So next meeting, magtiwastag discussion, then we will have a long quiz. So please attend the week of prayer. So class dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.